Well, you're getting a bonus worth for sure in this particular video because I wasn't planning on doing this, but I got the power back on and I'm going to leave it stuck out, but I don't want to get my hands too close to any of this stuff. I mean, if I do something and I somehow take a screwdriver and touch this along with the edge of the screw or the ground wire or metal over here or something like that, I could possibly shock myself or something like that. So that's working like a regular standard light fixture. And even at this point, I wouldn't even mess with it any further than that. I'm going to go inside the house and flip some more switches and go back and forth and all that kind of stuff. But I've even seen electricians do this hot. They'll take it out this far and they're real careful with it, and then they get all done. They wrap all this with electrical tape, and then they put it back in there like if it's they don't know where the breaker is or something like that. But I don't like to mess with working on any light fixture or any electrical outlet or anything like that with the power on. I would highly recommend not doing that, okay? But at this point, that's all I'm going to concern myself with, and I'll go in there and see what else I can find, see if that is in fact a three-way switch, but I don't think it is. Well, I went in there, couldn't find anything. I turned the power back off. I'm just going to flip-flop these. I don't really think anything's going to happen. I'm just going to put the black one up on top. Oh, and the red one on the bottom. I'm going to turn the breaker back on and check it out again, but in all actuality, is that a word? Pretty sure it is. I think it was just for the reason why I was telling you, that they didn't have any black wire. They actually had the red wire in there. And that's funny too, because usually that's a 12-3 with ground, it's called the wiring. And usually if you're not going to use the red wire, you would just cut it off and then have pigtails coming out of here with two wires. In actuality, I don't think you would have that either, since that goes up. I'm not quite sure about that, on how the previous electrician wired this up. Well, I'm going to turn the breaker back on, go the extra mile, and check it out again. You're getting an electrical lesson today. Well, I went in there and I've got some existing light switches that I'm not sure where they went. I've hit those again by swapping those wires, hit them again, and nothing is happening again. So I don't think this red wire has anything to do with the three-way switch. And generally with the three-way, I wish I had an existing three-way switch here I could show you. I have not installed one for quite some time. I'm thinking that there's actually three wires. I think there's still two black wires that go to the light switch as well as a red wire. I'm not quite sure. I just can't remember how that goes. If I had an existing three-way light switch, I could show you on the wires, and I could pull one out of a wall somewhere else that's a three-way and look at it. But at this point in time, I am making the assumption and the verification that this is a single pole light switch for right here. So I'm going to now turn the power back off and get ready to pull this off. And I think I'm going to add that to the video, put it back on the lit switch, which I took out before. So you're going to watch me install this a second time. And you know what? When you see things more than once, you just learn that much more. So hopefully you keep watching. Okay, got the breaker back off. Take my little screwdriver, push it back in there. I always like to turn it because the wire is so flexible. You don't have to try to undo this screw with your left hand or something to hold this here because it's coming over there. If you're right-handed, just turn it around over this way. I'm just going to back it off until I feel it being snug on the back side. Like I said, I don't have to unscrew the ground screw all the way. Now I'm putting on the right one. I'm just going to take that kink out. I got a slight kink before the curve. Okay. Make sure I got the right one, huh? Now I can kind of turn it how I want, flip it up there. And I think I'm going to kind of just clamp those a little bit tighter like that before I tighten this up. And I want it to go around the same direction as I'm tightening it. I don't want to put that loop on the opposite direction because then it has a tendency to loosen that as you're trying to tighten it. Okay. Now I just kind of flip that around like that. Make sure I'm up towards the top. And I'm just putting the black one up high. It's not... I'm just going to poke it in there. Poke it in. Okay. Hey. There. Look at that. You got to make sure it gets in the right one. I think I might have had it where I put the screwdriver, because see, now I'm pulling on it. It's not coming out. Make sure it gets in there where you want it. Just kind of resituate it. So I'm going to have it down and go up, put a kink in it, and come back down. Look at that. See, the red one came out. And it shouldn't really do that. And it might be because I pulled it in and out of that slot a few times, okay? Well, now you're glad you're watching it, huh? What to do with that? You're gonna just put a slot, just put it sideways. I've seen some people just put it sideways next to the screw, but I'm not gonna do that. I'm gonna take those out, and I'm taking my wire strippers, and I'm going to use it and strip this back a little bit. And I want to strip it back about an inch or so. And I can hold it up there and see. This one looks like I need to go just a hair further. Now, on here, there's little holes. See the holes? I'm going to take that and put this in there, let it stick out a little bit, and turn it. Okay? So I have a little loop on it. And I can do it over here. I let it stick out about, an 1/8 of an inch or so, and turn it. Okay? I'm not going to hook it on the, I'm going to hook it on the screws now. So now I'm going to undo the screws on the side, and they're going to come out so far, and then they usually have a stop on it, so it won't go all the way. Now if I hold on to this and really bear down on it, I could take those screws out. Okay, but I don't want to go that far. So now I'm going to look at that. And, and overlap it going the right direction. I'm going to take this again. I'm going to hold that tight and try to pinch that on a little bit more. Okay. And then I want it to go straight out like that, and I kind of hold that and put pressure on that to kind of keep this pulled in tight, see, like so. Do it however you want. And now I'm going to tighten that down on the side. And it's making the loop go that much tighter that way. That is never going to come off. Well, you saw what was happening there. That's because I took it out once or twice. So I got to put it on kind of sideways and then move it over. You see that, how I did that? Because you kind of have to put it sideways to get it off. If you're taking off the other one, I can't just put it on straight because it's hitting there. So I kind of have to put it sideways, and I can pull it over where it goes, hold it. I could screw it right now, but I can take that, the tip of it, and kind of bend it around more. Sometimes, and that gives it a better connection. Sometimes if you don't do that, when you start this, the loop is a little bit big, the screw kind of fits on one side, and half the wire is sticking out beyond the screw. And this way it just gives you a nice, good, tight connection. Let's see. Okay, like that. Okay, now I'm just still double checking that I'm on the top. And you know what's next, right? But that's what you got so far. If you're going to put it on the side screws. And lots of times that's what I do, just for the sake of argument, because especially as you're wiggling it back and forth and getting it in there, and you think you have the wire tight in the back hole, maybe it loosens up a little bit. Maybe it's still in there, just slightly not as tight as you want it. And every time you turn the light switch on, off, on, off, on, off, pretty soon maybe it gets a little bit loose, and you've got to have the electricity go from the wire to the screw or to the fitting in there, and pretty soon it might get loose a little bit. It might cause your breaker to trip or something like that. So you make the decision on the wiring. Do you want to use the back little slots, or do you want to use the sides? I would recommend using the sides.